And we're good to start.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. On this day, December 1st, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Okay, Chief.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome everyone. And we have some guests here with us this morning to start off our morning. We have some presentations to make. I'm very pleased we have with us our retired administrative assistant Janice Tomlinson, and her husband, also recently retired Deputy Chief Rick LaBelle. And we'd like to acknowledge her years of service with us and make a presentation to her, and the association as well is present to make a presentation for her long-standing membership to the association in her years. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that we have Brent Pellet with us, now Sergeant Brent Pellet, recently promoted. He starts his first day in his new role as Sergeant this morning. And so I'd like to make the presentation of for his badge, his Sergeant's badge. And lastly, we have sort of a sad day, if you will, or it's the last meeting for the chair of our board. Karen Hallinan has spent a number of years and a lot of knowledge and leadership for our board, and a lot of experience that hopefully if any myself or future board members have any questions, she's certainly a wealth of knowledge and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to take a phone call and give some advice. I'll start first off with the presentation, and it's to Administrative Assistant Janice Tomlinson. And thank you for your amazing job, and you've been an important member of our team from June 1994 until August 2022. So it's very difficult. Janice has been like a right hand to me. And so it's always difficult to have to say goodbye to somebody, but I always know where she is when I can't find something in an electronic folder. She's managed to tuck things away that I can try and find them. So I'd like to give Janice this plaque on behalf of the service and the board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bring you back though.
Yes. Pardon? Yes.
And we have, on behalf of our police association, years of service before going into the administrative role. So we want to say congratulations on your retirement. Well deserved, and I'm so happy you're here in person because I didn't think we were going to get to do this. But again, on behalf of our members of the police association, and that's just a nice little parting gift for Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
And as I said, very happy we had a good core of officers that applied for the sergeant's position. Went through a process. We have a great sort of middle years of experience in the service right now, and so it certainly was a difficult choice for the admin to have to pick one. But I'm certainly happy and proud to say that Brent Pellet was a successful candidate, and we look forward to having him as part of our management team. And I'm sure he'll do an excellent job in leading some of our younger officers as well and mentoring and making some good decisions. That's extremely important, and especially in the odd hours of the night when our supervisors need to make those crucial decisions. I'm very confident in Brent's abilities. Brent, you're starting to talk.
Can you guys look this way just for 1 second? Amazing, thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, no. And lastly, but certainly not least, is for Karen for her 18 years of dedicated service to this board. She's been a great year for me. I know we keep in constant contact, and I keep her apprised of what's going on within the service, and she certainly gives me some sense of direction as well, and gives me good advice. And so I'll certainly miss that, and I'll certainly reach out and make some phone calls as well. There is a plaque coming. I apologize at the plaque, but we'll do that maybe in the first meeting in January. We'll get you back and give you a presentation of a plaque. But I would like to give you these flowers on behalf of the board and the service as well. And thank you very much for all of your years of service. I don't know that we'll find somebody else that can go 18 years on the board. It's a tough role. The mayor is getting close.
Sean's gonna be the longest.
Karen, I think we're still seeking applicants for the next term, so I don't know if this is goodbye or not.
And I'll ask now if any members of the board have anything they'd like to share or any words that they'd like to say, please do so.
Sure, just to Janice, it was great to see you on the screen here. Again, congratulations for your incredible contribution to our community and to policing. To Brent, congratulations, great to see you promoted and a greater opportunity. And I know that you'll do, everything that I hear, you'll do a great job for our community. And Karen, 18 years, wow. There's who would make that kind of commitment, but no, it just speaks to your commitment to our community, your commitment to our municipal police service, and your leadership over my terms on the police service board have been incredible. We've had some challenging times every now and then, and you've helped us get through it. So appreciate your effort, your work, and your commitment to our community.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur, 18 years.
Thank you very much. And we'll
I just want to make a comment.
oh,
Janice, it's rather fitting that you and I are both here.
Yes.
Even though I knew some of the members of the service prior to joining the police service board, Janice was actually my first contact with administration, and over the 18 years, she has been my right hand as well. Extremely valuable, kept me up to date if I had a question, and I'm happy to say that we became friends as well as colleagues. So I wish Stephanie, our new person, well, she has big shoes to fill. Unfortunately, I won't be here to give her orders, but I'm sure that someone else will. So best of luck, and Rick, best of luck. And I asked Rick if he had business cards prepared yet. He said no, and I said, well, I'm going to have some business cards. I'm going to be a consultant to police service boards, and I'm going to charge $300 an hour for my consulting.
okay, maybe I won't be calling her quite as much.
So I'm going to miss those Friday afternoon phone calls.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And I guess we can move into the rest of the meeting then. Thank you all for attending, and certainly thank you all for your contributions to the service and to our community.
And you made it through without tears.
Well, I have a tough go with this sort of thing. It's all just so good. All right.
Congratulations, Brandon. I'm very happy for you. I'm still going to keep waving at the police officers so that they're nice to me.
All right, good. Well, the deputy and I are going to move up to our computers. So, and the chair is going to start with her remarks. Thank you.
Be in touch, Janice. Okay, I should be unmuted. Okay, Lenore will let you know because we'll be going into in camera, but I think I. Did you mute me? Oh, we're not up. Oh, no, you took us off the screen. There you go. Okay, we'll just give the chief a minute to sit down. There he is.
Good.
Well, as the poem says, there's a time for everything. And I thought at the end of my last term, it was time to go, but we had a lot of things that were happening. So I said that I would stay on for another term, but I think 18 years is quite sufficient. But I'm sad to be leaving because I have really enjoyed my time on the Police Service Board. I've been through 3 chiefs. I've seen big changes in policing over the 18 years. We have computers in cars. We have a crime unit. We have a community service officer. We have bike patrols. We have a wonderful mental health service now. So I'm very proud of all of those things. I want to make special thanks to the present administration and a special thank you to Lenore for stepping up to fill Janice's role when she had to leave for health reasons. And she's done a remarkable job keeping me on track. Special thank you to Mark, our present chief. And I remember when I was first appointed way back when, Lawrence Lee was past mayor, and he called me and congratulated me, but he said, I want to give you a word of advice, Karen. There's a big responsibility being on a police service board. He said, I know you've been on lots of town committees, but he said, the police service board, the recommendations you make, the supports that you give to the chief impact not only citizens, but impact the welfare of the service, which I have learned. So I've met some wonderful people over my time. I certainly have learned a great deal. And now I'm going to sort of pass the torch and experience to Sean, because he has now become the longest serving board member. So Sean, I'm relying on you to keep these people in line and make sure that they review all the documents and that they're up to date on everything. So remember, I was a school teacher, so I can rule with an iron hand. So if you need any advice, please give me a call. On a happy note, this morning, every 5 minutes, it was on the radio about the letters to Santa that the police service does every year. And I asked Aaron, I said, did I miss the big red mailbox when I came in? And he said, no, as soon as I find a dolly, it's going to go outside. And I think Mark and Jody and maybe Sean, I don't know if you remember, but when we started doing this, Bob Dowdle, who was the chief at the time, said, I happen to have a red mailbox in my garage. And we all wondered, why would Bob Dowdle have a mailbox in his garage? Anyway, I don't know if we ever found out, but that's the mailbox. And I just want to thank the service for doing that, and thank the service for each and every one of them for being the wonderful people that they are. Hardly a week goes by, but someone stops me in the grocery store somewhere and says, you know, we have a great police service. And I have to totally agree. So moving on, Chief, are you still okay? You haven't
All
no
good.
tear- no tears, okay. And I guess my final word is there's always going to be a bit of me here because of the beautiful memorial and outside to my son. So any additions to the agenda?
I do have just one addition under business arising, and it's just some updated duties for our special constables positions.
Okay, so we'll make that F under business arising. Okay, any declaration of interest? Okay, not hearing any. A motion to move in camera, please. Chris Babcock and Sean, all in favor? Okay.
All right. I think we should be all back.
Oh.
Okay, and we are
Here we are. Okay.
back in session.
So the Horizon report is human resources update. In-camera minutes update and update on a contract item. And I have a resolution and there's two parts of it and I'm going to read both parts. The resolution 2022-09, Smith Falls Police Services Board, accept the in-camera minutes October 29th, 2020 to October 27th, 2022. Due to COVID and no in-person meetings and the fact that in-camera minutes cannot be circulated, the above minutes have not been approved by the board nor signed by the chair. Chief McGilvery provided the board with a secure file for them to access and read the in-camera minutes. Going forward, the minutes would be read at the next appointed meeting, if not meeting in person, or circulated when in-person meetings again take place, would be dealt with at the next meeting of the board. That due to COVID restrictions and the board not meeting in person and the fact that the in-camera minutes cannot be circulated, the board members have been given access to a secure link for in-camera minutes for the period October 29th, 2020 to October 27th, 2022. And to enter this secure link and read all of the in-camera minutes as hereafter mentioned, and further that board members acknowledge the minutes and that this board accept the in-camera minutes as written. Minutes dated October 29th, 2020, January 21st, 2021, February 25th, 2021, March 25th, 2021, April 22nd, 2021, May 27th, 2021, July 22nd, 2021, September 23rd, 2021, November 18th, 2021, January 28th, 2022, February 24th, 2022, March 31st, 2022, April 28th, 2022, May 19th, 2022, September 29th, 2022, and October 27th, 2022 be approved and they be signed by the chair. So having read the resolution, I would ask for someone to move and someone to second. So Chris Babcock is moving and Chris McGuire is seconding. All in favor? Thank you. So they're approved. Okay, Chief, I don't see any correspondence.
Nope. I don't have any
And
correspondence.
The minutes from the previous meeting of October 27th. I'm sure that you've all read them. Any changes, any errors or omissions? Sean? So Sean is moving that they be accepted. A seconder, please. Jen, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, Chief, we can move into business arising.
All right, item A, business arising is the 22 budget monitors, and the board received both the October monitor and the November 30th monitor that I received and that the board has from Janet would be probably about a week short of just by the time it was printed off. Although it should be pretty close as far as up to, I guess, about the 24th, if you will, of November. So anything posted prior or after that would not be included on the November 30th monitor. Looking at the monitor, we are tracking fine moving into the last month of the year. We have some areas of surplus and some of deficit. Certainly some of the surpluses and salaries and our other payroll lines, our part-time wages are tracking high. As the board knows, we haven't had an administrative assistant that retired, and so we've had a part-time Lenore that's been filling in for us on a part-time basis. So some of those areas have increased. You'll see as well there are a number of operational lines that the treasurer doesn't show variances until the end of the year, but those many of those lines are tracking quite well and under budget, so they'll show at the year end. Currently, right now, we are sitting at just slightly 0.3% over budget, just shy of $13,000 over budget. But I'm comfortable with the other operational lines that we don't track the variances, that will be offset in those areas. And there are some of the lines, I guess, our overtime is slightly over. A lot of that was tracked through with from COVID. If you look at our COVID overtime line, that was overtime caused by specifically by COVID illnesses and people being off. Obviously, in our fuel costs, like everyone else that operates vehicles as part of their business, our fuel costs are quite a bit. We certainly didn't predict those gas prices through 2022, so those fuel costs are higher. They have come down somewhat, but we are going to track high and be over budget in that line. Other than that, like I said, operationally with the variances, I'm comfortable with where the budget is going into the last year. I think we'll be able to maintain a good budget to the end of the year, and subject to any questions on the budget monitor. Good. And seeing no questions, I'll move into the 2023 first draft budget that was provided to the board, with looking at sort of what we have to look forward to into 2023 from a capital standpoint. We're looking at replacing one police vehicle. We also have our continued efforts to NG 911 system that has been pushed back because of COVID, but which has provided us an opportunity to put some funds to get ready for that. So another $25,000 to get that ready. Hopefully, we'll have a final solution, if you will, and a plan moving forward in 2023, probably towards the third quarter of 2023, that will have a solution in place for our NG 911 system, and the equipment that's required, the infrastructure, the training, and so on that's required to switch over to the mandatory NG 911. The last item that's in the capital, you'll see, and it's titled as the water tower relocation of equipment, and that's there's been obviously with the town, with discussion of new water tower and removal of the existing water tower, we have some radio infrastructure that's connected to that water tower. That was sort of obviously a high piece of equipment that we've been able to that we used to make sure that we have proper and safe radio coverage across the town and into the outlying areas. If I know there's still discussion at the council level, and so it's as to when that will occur, whether the existing water tower will actually come down in 2023, or whether it may move into the following year, is sort of still up in the air. So I did include this, and I did in speaking with our IT. And as well with Bell Motorola, as far as sort of what it would look like to remove that equipment, and then depending either finding an existing tower, such as at the town hall, or whether we'd have to build a tower or locate a tower in an area that would meet our needs to ensure that we have the height. So I've put a place marker on that of about $50,000, and that would be a reasonable amount, I'm told, to relocate that equipment. And so that is in there. I guess and perhaps before we get to second or final budget, if council has any indication that that's not going to happen in 2023, then I would certainly take that out of the budget and look at that for a future budget. So if I'll leave that for a little bit later, but it's in the current budget. I see a question from Councillor McGuire.
Thanks, Chief. If the water tower was to stay up and stay there as a landmark in some way, would that serve the purpose for the radio equipment?
It would. We would leave our equipment as is, and there wouldn't be no cost. So if it stays, as long as it stays, our equipment can stay. If it was decided that 2 years from now or 5 years from now that the water tower needed to come down, then that could be addressed at that time. So I put it in there just because I know it's been subject to debate with council to get the new water tower built, and I know there's been conversation on what do we do with the existing water tower. I just didn't want to be caught short that if come June the water tower is coming down, that we have the funds there to move the equipment when needed.
Great, thanks.
That's a good question, Chris.
Sean?
I'm Chair. Yeah. And to my understanding, I mean, we certainly, with council's approval, we hope to start the water tower in 23. Although I suspect, and maybe I'm not sure what staff have mentioned to you, but I think in all probability wouldn't be completed until 24. And we would not remove, of course, the old water tower, decommission it until 24. So hopefully that's something that as we progress through the budget process, this may not have to form part of this year's budget. Look at the overall increase with all factors in. I think it's about a 6% increase to the total budget, which is significant, and I appreciate the one-time move as a $50,000 price tag approximately. Was there discussion on potentially moving the radio equipment to the new water tower?
Yes, the new water tower, because of its location, although it has the height, but because it's on one extreme end of the town, it would not. The word from Bell Motorola, James Parsons does a lot of our work, and he's excellent for both us and fire, and that would not likely be a good place for it. Just in very recent discussion, and there is potential that it could, and because we use the fire department is our redundancy for our radio communications, as is then the fire has their redundancy here, that there is potential that the tower there would be high enough to relocate the equipment there. So it's been at the water tower for as long as I can remember, quite frankly, but it would appear that it could move possibly. I don't want to say that with definitively, but to the town hall on the tower there. So, and if that was the case, it may, I don't want to get into cost because I just really, I don't know how much it would take to remove the existing equipment and to move it. So that's why James felt comfortable with the figure that we put in.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Chief?
So moving forward through the operational side, and as the mayor indicated, there is an increase. The increase on the operational side is approximately 3.6%. There are a couple of areas I haven't, and for the most part, most of our grants that we receive, those grants are sort of money in, money out spent. There are some of the grants that do contribute to offset wages and salaries of some of our members, like our community services and some of those things. So there are a couple in there that aren't showing that might assist in that figure a little bit, but I don't have that exact number right now, so I didn't want to include it in the first draft. But those would potentially bring that increase down a little bit. Most of the other areas operationally, the salaries and wages, the increase there in 2023, although we still have a contract between the board and the association that goes to the end of 2023. The salaries are tied in our collective agreement is tied in with OPP wages, and they don't have a negotiated settlement for 2023. So basically when that happens, and that's happened in past years, we build in a safe 2% increase to wages. So depending on how that works out, that's been built in. So that's an increase to the salaries and wages would be an anticipated increase to salaries and to a negotiated salaries and wages increase in 2023. If it worked out to be slightly less than 2%, then we'd be ahead of the game. And unfortunately, if it was more than 2%, although we haven't seen a lot of salary settlements above 2%, so I think we're pretty safe with the 2% built in, but that's a large portion of the increase to the operational side of the budget. That and then some of our part-time wages. We've seen an increase there, and I did increase our overtime budget a little bit as well, as we've seen some increases in overtime. Also, then the other payroll costs. So again, along with any pay increases, it increases deductions as well that the town is responsible for benefits and other payroll costs, WSIB, employment insurance, CPP, and all of those types of things. So there's an increase in that line as well. Other than that, there's really not a lot of increases on the operational side of the budget. So it is really mostly attributed to HR. Obviously all the some of the our building maintenance section, as well as the board is aware that falls under the police, our police budget, and so there are some increases, a few minor increases there with regards to utilities and building costs. We have increased certainly our fuel costs, seeing the rise in fuel, although it has dropped down somewhat, but we have included an increase in that line. Although that was offset, we did reduce the repairs line, and our vehicle fleet has been And as we've always said, well, you're always sort of one bad accident, if you will, away from that line costing us more. But touch wood, we've been good in that area, and our fleet has been well maintained, and with the addition of the new vehicles as well, sort of assists with keeping those costs down. Subject to any other questions, that's what we have for a first draft, and I believe that comes in January to council. If the board is in agreement to move this as the first draft, and then I'll see if there's, certainly in the last month, if there are some other operational savings that I can see in any of those lines as we get to the very end, and I can review some lines and see if there's any opportunities to reduce a couple of operational lines. I will certainly do that. Although, like I said, the majority of the increase really is human resources.
Questions? Jen?
Is there any indication as to when the OPP usually say what that wage increase is, or when we'll know if it's the 2% or not?
Well, they do similar to how we do our collective bargaining between the association and the board, and so their contract comes to an end December 31st. So then they would move into collective bargaining with the province, similar to what we do. So it's really hard to say. It certainly would not be prior to final budget. I shouldn't say, but in all likelihood, it would not be. Generally takes months for the province and the provincial OPPA to come to an agreement, and then it usually involves a retroactive pay. So that's the amount that we've used historically, has been around the 2%. We've had a couple of times where it has come in under. To be honest, I don't know that we've had an instance where it's been over the 2%. I think most times we've ended up where it's been around the 1.75 or 1.8. We haven't had, obviously the province hasn't seen big increases to wages. I think the 2% is safe, but I don't see it being able to change that without being left short. To change it prior to the budget would really would not be proper.
Just to add to what the chief's saying, I think in the past, we've gone sometimes 9 months to a year before the OPP contract has been settled. So that's, as the chief said, it's a waiting game, and we've always found what he's suggesting to be adequate. So, okay, people in favor, Sean, sorry.
Thanks, Chief, for I guess going through the budget in detail, give us some insight into the areas where there are some increases. The police grant, just noticing that, and that's a $50,000 difference from one year to the next. So hopefully that grant does come through, and that'll mitigate any increase. Of course, as we mentioned, communications will be a factor. Overall, I can appreciate the constraint you've applied here. But I still look at, I say it's about $320,000 overall increase, which is significant, with 6% overall a total. So I think I don't have any suggestions today as to what we could do other than if we bypass a cruiser replacement this year. And I guess maybe before or if you can now, or before we address the budget again, some insight into sort of the state of our cruiser fleet, and the potential impact if we decide to push that off for a year to try and help mitigate any increase for 2023. Understanding the other factors could also apply some positive changes as well.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and I do always look at the impact of purchasing a cruiser versus repairs, and obviously the other big part of that is ensuring that we have a fleet of certainly of frontline vehicles and vehicles that are low enough in mileage. Obviously, safety is a huge factor that comes into play with police operational vehicles and the stress that they're put under, and not having those mileages get to the point where then things can break under dangerous circumstances. So that's one of the big things that we look at, and why we've always sort of maintained the fleet and keep the mileage sort of in check. Looking at the capital, I mean, other than the water tower place marker, the capital budget, I know you indicate the increase, but that increase, there was a capital budget last year, so that's not really there's really very little increase to the capital, and especially if it's a decrease if you take out the $50,000 for the water tower. So really the only increase is the 3.6 operational. The capital isn't an increase, it's staying in check with past years.
I guess too, Chief, in the past, we've had occasion where we've deferred purchasing a cruiser. We've ended up having to purchase two, and one of our neighboring police services deferred and ended up having to buy four, if you remember. So that's the danger. While I appreciate what Sean is saying, I think you have to weigh the odds, but I'm confident you'll keep reviewing. So you're looking for a resolution today for this to be the first draft to go to council.
Yes, and just further to the vehicles as well. The other issue that I have to look at as well is the availability, and it's been very difficult to even get the last cruiser replaced, and it's taking up to 10 and 11 months to get a new cruiser. So we're already sort of technically behind, if you will, and by ordering one, it probably wouldn't arrive until next fall. So it's difficult in that regard, but it's just that's the problem right now with police vehicles, is we're limited to the companies that sell police rated vehicles, and we're subject to their availability of parts, chips, and everything else like everyone else is dealing with.
Okay.
So yes, I am looking to see if we can move this to the first draft to council.
Okay, so motion for first draft. Not everybody put their hands up at once. Jen and Chris Babcock second. All in favor? Thank you. Just before we leave the budget, I know the news came out on Monday that longtime treasurer Janet Koziel is going to be retiring. And I know what a very, very valuable asset she's been to particularly police service board. I know she's been a great asset to the town, but certainly to us. And I wish her well in retirement, and big shoes to fill there, and wish well to Art Manhire too. So some work at the town level to replace some key people. All right, moving on to the administrative assistant update.
Yes, and just to update the board on that, we did go through a process, and we were successful in hiring to someone to fill that position, and as the chair had indicated earlier this morning, big shoes to fill. But we found an excellent candidate. Her name is Stephanie McFadden. She is actually moving just into the Burt's Rapids area, into a new home. She's been working in Ottawa with the Carleton University security services there as an administrative assistant there. She brings a lot of knowledge and experience with her in the areas of payroll, scheduling, administering benefits, and administrative assistant duties. So she very pleased with how she did coming through the competition. We're certainly looking forward to having her come on board. She is going to be starting with us December 12th. She'll go through a bit of a shadowing and a mentoring with Lenore, and we're also going to have Janice come back, has agreed to come in and assist with some mentoring to certainly with the busy time with year end and moving into the new budget. Certainly some areas there that would be very helpful to have both Janice's and Lenore's experience to get her off on the right foot. I just want to also thank, I mean, we had approximately 115 applications for the position. So a lot of applicants. It was, I know the deputy can attest to it, was probably one of the most difficult recruitments that we've done. Some great candidates that we had to try to narrow down and do interviews and make a selection. So I'm confident in the selection we made, but I certainly thank the people that did apply. Certainly some great resumes, and I wish everybody all the best in that regard. And looking forward to moving forward with Stephanie in that new role.
Questions? Hey, recruiting.
And that's so we did close the application process for the recruitment for a new officer. We did get applications, both experienced and inexperienced. So it was happy to say, and the deputy and our management team got together and reviewed resumes, shortlisted resumes, and conducted interviews this week. So there's still a little bit more work to be done as far as some background checks and so on to make before we make a selection. But the process went well, and I'm always happy. It's a tough time in policing. I've been to a number of meetings where we seem to be fighting a lot of times with just the, and unfortunately in some cases with just some negative media and some negative public perception on policing that's making it difficult for young people to want to get into policing. It's not an easy choice. It's not an easy career. And it's something that you really have to put full heart and soul in. So it's, I know other police services have struggled with getting enough applications to run processes, and some of the bigger services where they're trying to hire 20 officers are lucky if they can hire 10, and they have to run another competition to try to fill more. So it's tough competition out there. I'm happy to say that our team has found some good applicants, both experienced and inexperienced, and we should have a decision made in the near future. And I'll certainly let the board know, and we'll get that good news announcement out to our community as well.
Thank you. Any questions? The ALPR grant update, please.
Yeah, and that's our automated license plate reader grant that we had applied for with the ministry, and that's currently we have one cruiser that's outfitted with an automated license plate reader equipment. Excellent piece of equipment that assists us in identifying vehicles and registered owners that are either involved in criminal activity or provincial offenses infractions. It assists with bulletins and flags that are out on vehicles that are being sought at for, whether it be for wanted persons or missing persons or that sort of thing. So that it's the province put out the calls for applications. We were successful in our grant, and you may have seen it went out through Lake 88 through MPP Jordan's office, and so we always have to wait till the provincial announcement is made before we can put it out. This one was a little bit more forthcoming. Sometimes it takes quite a long time before the province puts out a news release. But MPP Jordan put one out. So we're able to announce that we were successful, and it's the amount was just shy of $66,000, and that should outfit approximately three more of our frontline vehicles with ALPR systems. So that'll be that has to be spent by March 31st of 2023, and so we had already worked on some quotes and systems that we would put in, and so we're going to be moving forward with that. But that's another good news item with grant money coming from the province that puts new innovative equipment into our police cruisers and gives our officers another tool in crime prevention and law enforcement. So I'm happy that we're able to do that, and on the provincial grant money, and not something that has to come out of our budget.
How does it work, Chief? If the cruiser comes up behind me, does it automatically read my license plate?
It does. There's a
Vehicle?
there's a multiple of cameras, and I can't remember the rate, but it actually reads vehicles at sort of 100 per second type of thing. So if you were, I mean, obviously in our streets, it's there's not that many, but you could drive that down the 401, if you will, or a 400 series highway, and the cameras would be reading license plates all around that police cruiser, and it comes up in the car. It'll come up with a tone to indicate that it's found either a provincial offenses infraction, a suspended driver, or a wanted person, or a bolo on that vehicle as well. So it provides the officer with instant information on possible infractions going on right around them.
Well, Big Brother really is watching. Sean?
To that, Chief, were you able to provide any, I guess, just insight into the results achieved through the vehicle that's been equipped for the last about a year or so?
I don't have any definitive stats, but it has. We certainly it goes out regularly, and it does. Officers, there are a number of the standard ones, the suspended drivers, drivers without insurance or with wrong plates on a vehicle, and things of that nature, very regular. It's a daily occurrence where we're picking up those types of things. Certainly then bolos and wanted persons as well. So it is a valuable tool, and it has yielded certainly good results.
Excellent.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Duties update, our new addition to business arising.
And this was so for our special constables, as the board's aware, we have to apply through the ministry for our special constable appointments. We have 2 special constables currently, and when we apply for those appointments and when we renew those appointments, we have to indicate what duties and what legislation that they will be given authority under. So we recently, it was a number of months ago, and unfortunately there was a bit of a communication lapse with the ministry. So we just got the okay on it, but we had included, and obviously the last 2 summers, but this last summer and even right now, we've had a lot of traffic control types of duties where officers on their days off are working paid duties and additional duties for the for traffic control for the construction that's been on Beckwith Street. Also then falling in for parades and any of those types of things where we would need officers to do traffic control. We added that into our special constables duties, and we were granted that authority. So under the Highway Traffic Act, to have our special constables now be able to assist with traffic control duties. So that was granted to us. So it's just an additional tool, and it's an additional resource. Then I certainly commend the officers that have been juggling their regular duties as well as doing all the duties for the traffic control for the Beckwith Street reconstruction, and it's not, and I certainly, I also like to acknowledge the deputy that has a lot more hair than I have to pull out, and it's not certainly hasn't been easy for her and the staff sergeant to try to find people to plug those holes when these construction companies, and quite often it's last minute. They're not always aware of what the needs are or changes that require, and all of a sudden they require officers for the next week, sort of through the entire day, and we have to try to schedule those people, and our officers have been great to fill those gaps and still work their regular duties as well. But this just will provide some training to the special constables as well, with regards to doing traffic control safely and properly, and then we'll be able to use them as an additional resource as well.
Good. Questions? Good. Thanks for the update. Nothing under new business. So the manager's report, please.
Oh, good morning. For the month of October, we responded to 642 calls for service. In our uniform frontline patrol, we had 16 collisions, 25 traffic complaints, 96 vehicles stopped, and 54 charges laid. To do with our alcohol, drug, and criminal-related traffic stops, we had 2 dangerous driving charges, 2 impaired, 1 prohibited driving, 1 refusal, 1 flight from police, 1 novice driver with a BAC above 0, open marijuana in a vehicle, and 1 charge of open alcohol in vehicle, and 1 charge of driving motor vehicle without interlocking device. We had a total of 62 Highway Traffic Act charges laid and 3 charges relating to the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. Our step target in October related to seatbelts. It was Operation Impact, speed, distracted driving, and impaired. Our officers were proactively monitoring intersections and conducted spot checks to ensure compliance with wearing seatbelts. As a result, they laid 2 impaired driving charges, the 1 refusal to provide a breath sample, 2 for dangerous driving, 1 open alcohol, 1 novice, 1 open cannabis, 1 ignition interlock, and 8 seatbelts, and 19 speeding tickets. Our step target in November is intersection safety, and our officers conducted quite a few paid duties relating to the construction at Elmsley and Beckwith Street. We had 8 hours of bike patrol, and that was around the Halloween time. We had 42 hours of foot patrol. We had noteworthy calls for service in October. On the 2nd of October, we had a missing person complaint received regarding a male by the name of Lawrence Bertram. You've probably seen that on our Facebook and bulletins, and it did grab media attention. Finally, we did reach out to the media, but we saw that later on that they did pick it up the story. Mr. Bertram has been missing since October 2nd, and it has been picked up by our crime unit and our CSO officers working on that case. And I will give you a further update on that. We've had 19 intimate partner violence incidents, 10 assaults, no break and enters, 26 thefts, some businesses, a lot of them have been solved, 32 mental health related calls. And we've opened that up more, allowing because of the staffing with our mental health team, they've been able to come to more calls for service with us, including domestics, thefts, different things that we want them to attend to as well, besides just the mental health calls. Our criminal investigative branch, obviously the major case is the disappearance of Mr. Bertram. We have suspected that foul play is involved. They've been doing multiple search warrants, search of residence, and continuing to put it out to our partners in interviews, and that's ongoing. Obviously, there's sensitive details relating to this investigation that are kept within our team. That's not being released to the family or media. We just don't want to hinder the investigation. We have also done a search warrant involving a vehicle theft. That was an extensive one with Ottawa. The crime unit officer is also continuing to prepare for the homicide preliminary inquiry that's coming up in February. And so Detective Constable Walker, he has also been the lead for Bertram file, as well as Staff Sergeant Blanchard, and they've been working daily on it. We did have OPP East Region ERT support, who helped us out with an extensive ground and drone search earlier in the month. And his family continues to be updated one or a few times a week to keep his mom updated. Our community service in October, we participated in our annual Stuff a Cruiser campaign, which we work with in partnership with our schools. And that's for our local food bank. Our staff end up at St. Francis School, where we participate in the Turkey Trot Parade, and close to 3,000 pounds of food was collected overall from this campaign. And we always like to thank our local schools who help us and support this annual tradition. And Officer Tompkins was involved with your TV interviews highlighting the community engagement for the month. And he also covered our frontline duties when officers were off sick. In training, I had the CSO officer attended a conference in Kingston, and Constable Tompkins went on a 1-week sexual assault investigators course that was hosted by the OPP. In November, we had 542 calls for service. Our traffic collisions were 7. We had 25 traffic complaints. We had 44 vehicle stops with 36 charges overall. We had 1 dangerous driving, 1 carried control, 1 open alcohol, 1 failed to remain at the scene of an accident. 10 speeding charges, 4 stop signs, 3 drive under suspension, 2 expired valve tags, 2 failed to yield to traffic, 1 drive no license, 3 improper plates, 1 failed to surrender license, and 1 followed too close, and 5 charges under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. And as the chief has mentioned, the paid duties have really increased with Kavanaugh. I have reached out to our public works and to Kavanaugh as well to give us some more notice of this plan. Police seem to be the last to know as to what goes on with this particular intersection. And this last minute booking of officers that we need to at an intersection for the next week and into 2 weeks, getting closer to December when we've got our regular officers patrol and vacation does become taxing on our officers on their days off. So hopefully this this construction that they're doing now is going to be completed soon. Our step target has to do with intersection safety for November. 16 charges were laid as regarding this enforcement. Our step target, as you know, for December is our festive ride season. We do have a grant that supports us, our officers, to conduct festive ride programs throughout the year. So we have already started our festive ride programs. We've done 2 so far, and we'll continue to do more into December. and January. 24 hours of foot patrol. Our noteworthy calls for service is the continuation of our missing person file. We had 15 intimate partner violence incidents, 1 reported sexual assault, 5 assaults, 10 bail violations, 2 break and enters, and charges were laid in regards to that. One was a significant copper wire theft from a apartment complex that is under construction. So I'm happy to say that our officers were able to, did you lose some lighting? We're able to arrest that male involved in the break and enters. We had 21 thefts and 43 mental health related calls. Our criminal investigative branch obviously is continuing with our missing person file, continuing to prepare for this preliminary hearing, and there's a lot of work to get that ready to go, and interviewing people and prepping our witnesses. Continuing with a large fraud investigation, the officer had courts and some meetings. In our community service file, our officer met with various schools regarding our VITRA conferences. So he goes into the schools and does violent threat risk assessments with students that are at high risk of whether they might bring. One had brought a knife to school, so they did a conference to do a safety check. We do safety checks in the home and at the school to make sure that that person is safe to go to school and that there's no risk to the other students. There was some MCERT team meetings, interviews with Lake 88 Near TV, highlighting our community initiatives, and we had Crime Prevention Week. He assisted with Bring Your Kid to School Day with one of our communicators' teenage daughter who attended and assisted us with the Poppy campaign as well. He assisted the Legion with the Poppy campaign and did a presentation with MCERT nurse Jen to Child and Family Services and foster parents on the topic of mental health and substance dependency. Participated with the Holiday Train fundraiser last night at Boston Pizza, and that helped raise money for SFDCI for their clubs, such as improv and their music and drama clubs, press releases, and VWAP. So for trainings that we had officers do, 2 officers attended for a breath tech course in Ottawa. So we have a full complement per platoon of having officers qualified to do breath samples when we arrest impaired drivers. Our officers have conducted their first aid and CPR training. It also included 8 hours of online training that they had to do during their shift. We did some trauma-informed training as well for police, and that's done virtually by a doctor who trains officers and other members of the public on how to interview people going through traumatic experiences, children and women especially. We did some online scheduling training. We're implementing a new scheduling program. I attended the annual police school board protocol meeting relating to collaborative response and keeping our children safe. And that's held in Kemptville annually. I attended the emergency management training at Town Hall. I participated in the Boston Pizza fundraiser with Constable Tompkins last night. And I participated with Victim Services in a presentation on intimate partner violence and victim services in collaboration with what police and victim services do in our community, and what they can do if they know someone experiencing intimate partner violence. And that was done to the Catholic Women's League in Hanley Hall, the St. Francis Church. And I did want to mention that the December 6th is the vigil, the National Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women vigil. I know the mayor had asked about that. There's not one in Smith Falls, unfortunately. The lady, the nurse who organizes it, usually we do it inside at the hospital. And of course, we were going to try and do it outside of the new mosaic structure, but that's not complete. So that won't be done till next year. So the vigil is going to be held in Perth at Crystal Palace. And unfortunately, I'm away at a conference, and so is the chief. So we've sent our regards, and we're going to have representation there, and that's at 6 p.m. The Crystal Palace in Perth. And that is all for the manager's report.
I just have one question. Does the ALPR pick up on expired license tags?
It does, but it's not something that we focus on. It's
Okay.
with the plates, like if the plates aren't registered. So it will pick up the fact if someone hasn't registered their plates online, which is really easy to do. And you
Okay.
can do it for 2 years. It takes 3 minutes. And you just go online and register your plates. But one thing, I don't know if the chief mentioned or not, but the ALPR is very important for human trafficking as well.
Mhm.
And we have officers that will do patrols, say, in the parking lots of hotels, motels,
Mhm.
because we will flag not only men who are offenders, but we do flag victims of human trafficking. So if there is any association to a license plate, a person, say the officer stops the vehicle and there's a person flagged for human trafficking, that officer then knows that, say there's a female in a vehicle with a male, then they would be able to have a conversation privately with that female to ensure her safety. So it is a big benefit for us for human trafficking as well.
That is excellent. And I can attest, it's very easy to register your license plates. If I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah, and you know what? I tried it myself because obviously I want to learn how to do it too. And the minute I pulled out of the parking lot here, I turned right. I had a suspended driver right here, right around the corners. It just it picks up so much, like from a broad range. And I know it sometimes is like for the officers, because all you hear is that bing, 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 that noise of alerting them. Like they could drive down the street, they'll probably have 6 or 7 suspended drivers. So it's to target the ones that the suspended drivers, the prohibited drivers. And when you ask for statistics, that's what we're seeing a lot more of. That what I read to you is the criminal ones, the criminal prohibited drivers, the criminal dangerous drivers. Those are the ones that they really focus on when with the
Perfect.
LPR. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for the explanation. Any other questions? Okay. So, Chief, I don't know if you want to delay the date and time of the January meeting, because there will be potentially a couple of new people on the board.
If
Or do you
I
want to set a
would.
tentative?
I could set a tentative date of January 26th, if that works.
Mhm. It's fine with me.
And that'll get us through the first reading of the budget as well, and then we can reconvene at that point.
Okay.
So it'll be same time, 8:30. And if there's any changes to that, we can send a message out.
And I assume in January, you're going to review whether you're going back to in-person meetings or not.
Yeah, I guess we've the practice has been to follow suit with whatever council is working towards. I know and that's part of that is getting the new council chambers up and running, and so we'll follow that.
Okay, so just a final note, thank you. I've probably been the luckiest person in the province in terms of police service boards. I've had wonderful people to work with, and I feel very confident that I'm leaving the board in good hands moving forward. So, and I'll be very careful driving so that I don't get picked up by this camera. So, motion for adjournment, please. Come on, guys, we've got to leave. Jen and Sean. And Merry Christmas, everyone. Don't forget the letters to Santa.